All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far, I congratulate you. You have been awesome. You've completed everything, hopefully, I'm assuming, and not skipping anything. If not, shame on you. Just kidding. No, but these exercises should be pretty helpful to showing you. And if you are feeling confident up to this point, you're doing great. The last thing is data visualization and charts. So I got a fun definition here. It's a tough word. Visualization is a representation of information in the form of a chart, diagram, or picture. So any picture like this, infographics, those are definitely data visualized. Pretty much anything, like in the world of data science, if you're doing anything, you're going to be visualizing data. You're going to be collecting it, going through it, looking through it, and ultimately making graphs and stuff. So that's data visualization for you. It's a fun word to say if I can say it right. But here's pretty much like, it just shows you how much easier it is to read. So this was the table that we created, or at least a table, and you can see that you see all the numbers and everything, so it's good, but this is also raw data too. So while you can see your categorical data and your numerical data really clearly, also this looks a lot better. This is based off the same data that I had in the last lecture for you, based off my Amazon purchases, and you can see here that I have each month here, and then within each month I have the percentage. And you can actually, we're going to learn how to do this, is kind of pop the slice out. It's called explosion. We're going to explode the slice, and it just kind of makes you point out something like, hey, like something's up with this month or something. But here we can see that the largest, instead of like scrolling through each and every data set, we can see the largest amount of purchases is in July. And then in February I didn't make too many. After 24% would probably be November, it looks like, where I made decent amount, and then from there it's just in between 11 and the 2%. So that's a little beginning on data visualization for you. Let's move into Excel. Alrighty, here in Excel I have some other data for you. This is just some sample data from sales and the days to ship. So that correlates based on a product that was sold, the amount it was sold for, and how many days it took to ship, or the company shipped it. So we have categorical data here, the days to ship, and the sales data is the numerical data here. So thank you. I misclicked something. So we have 49 data points here, because our headings right there obviously don't count as a data. So first thing here is I'm going to show you how to make a graph. And we're going to select all the data, insert, bam. Can't you tell so much from this? Yeah, no. That's not something you would be presenting or showing to anyone, because that doesn't make sense. So that's the categorical data. That's how you know it's the category, because a pie chart uses categorical, and it just won't work for that. So we're going to convert it, and I'll show you how to convert it. So what we're going to do is take a look here at the days to ship. So in F1 over here, I'm going to make another, in the cell I'm going to put days to ship, and double click trick. And it looks like I have values ranging from 1 to 6. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to go over here and put count of. Alright, so we have count of, and then we're going to use the count if formula. And our range is going to be right here. And a fun little trick here, if you have like a ton of data, like thousands and thousands of rows, first of all, your computer might crash. But if it doesn't, you're going to click the first point in your data, click Shift, Control, and down. And that's going to select all the data in that column for you. Fun little trick I learned from my professor. And then for criteria, since we're going to be referencing a cell, we don't need the parentheses. So we're going to reference F2. And then there's 2 items that took 1 day to ship. That means And now we're going to do the absolute referencing too as well. So we're going to do F4. F4 will mean that when I copy this formula down like I showed you before, it's going to keep A2. It's going to make sure that like that stays in the range. If I do that, it just makes sure that 2 stays in the range, and that just makes sure that A stays in the range. So we want these both to stay in the range, both A2 and A50. And then this is allowed to change. It's supposed to change, so we can do that. I don't want to mess it up. There we go. And then we just scroll down, and bam, that copies, so that references that value. It looks to see if anything is equal to 6, and if there is, we get 30. So now we're going to do a little data validation. I'm not exactly sure what this is called, but just checking to make sure we have all our values. In this bottom one, we're going to do count A. It's a new formula. And this one will count the number of cells that are not empty. So that makes sure that you have all the data in there. So we're going to do Control Shift up since we're going up. And don't like that. I got the days to ship, and then it's going to throw off our count there. So on A2 to A50. So we have a count of 49. And then since we have our numerical data here now, we're going to do sum, and then the sum of this. And this should equal 49, which it does, perfect, so that means we're good. So now we're going to create a pie chart, pie graph, pie circle, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to go to count if, highlight that, charts 2D pie, and there we go. We have a beautiful graph. Now it's missing some data. Sometimes it will be depending on how you do this. I designed it perfectly, so we would be missing some data here. So all we're going to do is you're going to hit select data, select edit labels, which are our labels down here, and then we want them to match. So that's going to be, we're just going to select this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it changes to that. Well, I don't think it changed anything, but now it matches at least. And then if you double click the title, we're going to say count of days to ship. There we go. So now I have our count of days to ship, and it's a little hard to read that thing down there, the legend, the graph, the lines, the letters. So we're going to pick us one that's a little bit easier. There we go. Something like that. And you can even go down here, drag and make it a little bit bigger. Drag this thing as a whole. There we go. So now we can see that it looks like there's a little bit that was shipped on day 1, a lot of it shipped on day 3, and a lot of it shipped on day 6. But we're not exactly sure like what this means. Like it tells us a good amount, but we need some numbers in there. So we're going to click on the chart again, click design, add chart element, data labels, and then as you mouse over these, you can figure out which ones you want and where. You can pick, we'll do data callout because that gives us a good amount of information. Makes the chart a little bit smaller, but now we know. We can be like, all right, so on day 1, 4% of our orders were shipped. New orders were shipped on day 2. But on day 6, 61% of our orders were shipped. So we can do that now. Oops. Did not want to do that. Alrighty. So now I'm going to make a box and whisker graph too. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to make a box and whisker graph out of our sales here. So we're going to do same thing, although this time we're going to select sales, shift control down, and because this is category or numerical data, the box and whisker uses numerical. So we're going to go to recommended charts, all charts, go down to box and whisker, and there we are. And since it's like, I don't know, it's just my preference, I like to kind of drag them a little longer. Kind of something like that instead. There we go. So something like that works. But as you can see, it's a little weird because like we have some outliers up here, and you're like, well, it really doesn't give me much information, which you're right, it's hard. So we're going to click this, uncheck show outlier points, and now I have a lot more information. And this box and whisker graph actually tells us a ton about the data. What it says is that most of the values are going to be in this range. This is going to be our 75th quartile, which means that most of the values are within this range. And this is our 25th quartile, which means that about 50% of the values are going to be somewhere in that range. If you look at this X, that's our mean, or our average, which means that the average sale is $307. Alrighty, so now that we have our two graphs, I'm going to do a few more things. One of them is we're going to actually move these charts to another charts or graphs or whatever to another sheet down here. That way, for one, it's easier to print, and for two, it kind of gives our data and our charts a separate sheet. So you're going to right click. You're going to click Move Chart, New Sheet, and we're going to name this Pumpkin Pie. Misspelled it again and again and again. Pumpkin pie, there we are. So now it gives us, this whole sheet is pretty much just the chart, so that makes it nice. And now here we can see it really big, and we can see everything good. We can go ahead and change colors up here if we want. If we don't like the colors, maybe something like that. That's more pumpkin-y, since we said pumpkin pie. We can select the data. We don't need to do that. You can change chart type. We already kind of have our chart here, but if we wanted to, we could go to a column, and it would look something like that. I think this is the best since we have some zeros, since some of the values are zeros, so we have that. You can add chart elements, maybe add another legend or move the legend somewhere. Say I want it on the right, maybe. Alrighty, now so for pie explosions. So, it sounds pretty cool, but we don't want to really explode the pumpkin pie. That'd be sad. I love pumpkin pies. So, we're not actually exploding. We're just kind of more or less showing one of the data points, like highlighting one of the data points. So all we're going to do is going to click once, and that's going to select every value in the chart. And then click again. We're going to click on the 4% right here. And then you're going to go to the bars right here. And then point explosion, we're going to make it about, we'll make it 10%. So now whenever you look, you can see it's wedged a little bit out, and we can see that this would be the one that would catch someone's eye. So you're looking at it, this catches your eye, and you're like, all right, so something's going on with 4%. And then you're likely going to explain what's going on, be like, hey, we need to try to get more of this to be this. So that's explaining a little bit there, helps you explain that. You can also, if you double click again, you can change the angle of the first slice, which just essentially means like you can decide where it's going to go on the chart. Somewhere we can do a whole 360 if we want to, but honestly I kind of like it that it's up there. So we're going to keep it right up there for now, right there in the middle. And then we're going to go back, go to our box and whisker, same thing, right click, move chart, new sheet. We're going to name it Meow because it's a box and whisker. And it's going to reset it to kind of like this size, which is okay because we have our page size set to 8.5 by 11. And then kind of boring colors, so we'll go ahead and let's see, I want to make my own colors. We'll double click in there. So now we selected the chart itself. We're going to click this fill button, click color, and let's go with a yellow, or maybe we'll go with a red. Yeah, we'll go with a red for that. And then we're going to double click again, go border, color, maybe we'll go with a black. And that actually makes it look a lot better as well too. You can see the mean right there and everything. So we have the median and all that good stuff. Which, by the way, this is our median line. I failed to mention that earlier. Our median is 78 right there. So, also let's change the chart title here. We're going to change that to, what was this data again? Oh, there's pumpkin pie and meow. Drag that over. So that was sales. So we're going to change this to sales data. And now the final part is we're going to actually, we're going to figure out how to print all this now. So if we X out of this, because we don't need the format shape anymore, we're going to go down here to page layout so we can figure out what's going to be on the page. And then I actually like using the page break preview, that's what it's called more, so we're going to go to that. And our goal is to try to fit this on one page. So we're going to go back. After you go to the page break preview, it'll give you lines. And it looks like we have about four cells that are overlapping. So we're going to go to page layout, height, scale it to one page, see what it does there. And then we're going to go back. And it looks like it gave me one page now. So that's how that one's going to print. As for the charts, pumpkin pie, that should print just fine on its own. Yeah, it's not even going to give me the option because it will print on its own page. So then we'll go into File, Print, and we're actually going to print to PDF. That way we can make it easy. So we have days to ship, sales, that all fits on that one page. And we're going to print the entire workbook because we want to make sure we have our charts in there. We have our pumpkin pie and we have our meow. And that looks pretty good. Everything there, but I wanna set this up a little better. It's kind of weird, so we're gonna go to page, we're gonna go to margins, center it horizontally. That way it shifts over and it's a little bit more centered. Looks a little nicer. And we're gonna go back in. We can add a header and footer. We're gonna add a header of page 1 and a footer of lecture 5 data. And then we're going to print. We're going to print lecture 5. And then we're going to go open it up in Adobe Reader. Alrighty, so here it is from Adobe Reader. We opened it. Here we have our data. Scroll down, we have our graph in here. Here we have everything. We didn't add the header and footer to the last one, but that's fine. So we're just going to leave it like that. But this way, this is how it would print on like a normal piece of paper or something, or if you were going to do a presentation and bind it, something like that. So pretty much what I've showed you is how to go from this data to this graph to print it, and that's going to be something that you'll be tested on in the final exam. So that'll be the next part. Alrighty, so you've completed all 5. Congratulations. We are on to the final exam portion now, so pretty much this is what I have on the list for you for the final exam. The other part will be, it'll be like a mix of this and the PowerPoint for the final exam study guide. And then as far as the final exam goes, I think I'm going to do where there's like probably 30% of it's going to be questions in Word or in PowerPoint, and then the other 70% is going to be done in Excel. So you'll have 2 folders. One will be the work that you'll be doing, like the problems and everything, and then the other one will be the answer. That way you can go ahead and look at it. And this is actually the last video, so after the exam you'll be given a certificate and everything, and there'll be a questionnaire as well, like a survey. I hope you take that. There'll be a coupon code at the end for any expansion packs if you like that. Make sure to do that survey, that way I can figure out what I need to do better. If any of these videos suck, tell me. But if they're good, tell me that too. I want to know if there's anything that you saw that you might add if you're experienced with Excel, so that'd be great. But yeah, thank you for purchasing this course, and yeah, I'd love to do more for you. Thanks. Bye.